dangerous.
You were a big shot golfer.
I still am a big shot golfer.
You're delusional.
This Voldemortian people in there, like, even though there was like a lot of pillaging of our home in a lot of my daydreams, it was still like, it was a chance for my mind to rattle on a little.
Yeah.
So my mind didn't always feel like it was so attached to me. I did like the time when you had more space just to kind of daydream and your mind got to like
Yeah, you're right.
exhale.
I do that a lot when I'm driving. So you're saying you would daydream in a way that was like the last bastion of free speech for a mind of cut this part out. Cut this fucking part out.
Yeah. I mean, my shit would be pretty lit. Frederick Douglass would show up at some of my daydreams. Like,
Sure.
there was always someone at the pulpit
Yeah.
to let you know the type of energy that was there. It was life or death. There were trials that were going on. Like, it was very Salem witchian, you know?
Oh, sure. It's like the Crucible. Keep
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah. It was like the Crucible kind of meets McDonald's, kind of.
Sure. So if Grimace was like judge, jury, and executioner, which he often is in so many of our afterlives, as I come to understand it, Grimace is like a tulpa and he's like an amalgamation, like a transmogrification of Saint Michael. So
Is that what people are saying?
yeah, he's like a figurehead for like this for like this demigod we know as Saint Michael, and when he lets you in, it is just a big pool of creamy chili sauce.
Oh, good. I know I've prayed to him before for new condiments. It's hard.
That's him answering a prayer.
Okay, there you go, dude. But, dude, this is where we're heading. People don't want to look at the signs that, like, there are children who go to bed and they'll wake up in the morning and they'll piss the perfect shape of Grimace into their sheets. Like, moms are like, oh, that's nothing. It's just 100 nights in a row of that. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's connecting the dots of where we're going.
No, like that you pissed the Shroud of Turin. Like, you pissed a perfect, exact golem of things come to pass.
Dude, yeah, I know. They cracked some kid open and he had 11 scenes from The Patriot with Mel Gibson inside of him. It's
And
like,
Heath Ledger.
yeah, I know.
Well, it was my understanding it was just the Gibson scene. So there was no Heath Ledger, which is like, okay, what is this, the director's cut? So,
Yeah, what is this? And then he just screamed, aim small, miss small, and disappeared into the ether. It's just where we are. You mentioned, what do you want to say?
no, I'm just kind of just like coming to terms with some of that. Because it's an absolute, and my will's greater than myself, I have a higher purpose, and some of that is Grimace, like putting a kid in the wood chipper. Yeah.
I remember when we were in school and some kids didn't understand how the greater than or less than signs worked, and we weren't allowed to those kids.
No.
And that always kind of made me upset.
I don't know. I'm not even trying to get into some of that stuff, but
Yeah, facts.
I don't know my times tables.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
you're right, dude. And it's weird if I'm willing to give you a pass, but I'm not willing to give them,
Sure. Well, it's not a meritocracy,
It isn't. It was.
It was in a perfect world when Tolstoy was kicking around with Dostoevsky.
It was, dude, when Downton Abbey was doing their shit, when that shit was popping.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, me and my boys, we would sit down every downtown and Abbey Tuesday.
It was good, dude.
It's so
The
good.
first fucking season of it,
So good.
God, I wanted to be a butler. I'd be a butler's son or whatever.
Yeah. Just to be grandfathered into the butler trade would be such a blessing.
And the butler comes walking in, he's like, Gregory's gay. And you're like, what?
He told you in confidence?
No, dude, just get the dishes.
Yeah.
Leave your son out of this. That guy was so good, bro.
Yeah. It's weird to see him like that, not sleeping, standing up in a closet. Because
Well, he was a stunt double in a lot of coffins.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
People don't give him any credit,
No.
What was his name? That guy was a great actor.
He looks like the guy who did the Wilhelm Scream. You know what I'm talking about? The Wilhelm
The guy who just
Scream.
won the contest?
There's something called the Wilhelm Scream, which is this scream they use in like a million different movies. You would recognize it if you play it. But
Jim Carter.
I think he's the guy who does that special scream from the golden age of Hollywood.
Let's look that up. The Wilhelm Scream. See it again? You sure? That sounds like Wilhelm Memphis. Where is that from?
Yeah, that's Beale Street. If Beale Street could talk, it would sound like that. Wow. So yeah, that guy did that, and then I guess he had to go to court to get like his residuals from it.
You're really?
So that scream, they're calling it the scream of hope. So it was one of the first famous
The scream of hope? Are you serious?
So yeah, it's like a symbol. It's like,
How bad has it gotten?
well, it's like, you know how like South Africa used Rodriguez in his albums to like fight against apartheid. So like this is the American version of that.
Yeah, I remember in Tyler Perry's Mandela Goes to Jail, I think.
Exactly. So Sheb Woolley was the stage name of that old guy who lived in the closet, and he just did this. He did this special scream that became like a message of hope.
Oh, I love hearing this. And says it right here. This says the famous Wilhelm scream was originally voiced by actor-musician Sheb Woolley in 1951. It was recorded for the movie Distant Drums for a scene where a man is bitten and dragged underwater by an alligator. Play it one more time, and let's put it where it belongs in our head. Oh, he gay, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro.
He's a friend of Dorothy.
Yeah, let's just say he's a friend of Dorothy.
That's what they used to say.
Or yeah, he's a Toto owner.
Sure.
Yeah, people would say that. Have you seen that guy in Austin
He got a Toto?
who goes on the streets and he's like, "You think this guy's gay, man? Have you seen those videos?"
No.
Oh my God. Pull this up. This is worth watching, dude. This is one of the best things that's ever happened, I think. And it just goes to show how men are obsessed with pointing the 11th finger at each other.
Yeah. They're making a call to the bullpen, but nobody's showing up.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
Have you ever seen Elijah Wood? He rides around Austin on a little scooter sometimes.
No, but I would believe that.
I know, right?
And I hope that happens.
Me too. I hope that for the rest of the world and the rest of today.
Well, here's what we should do.
One day in Austin that changed everything.
So this is how rumors get started here. And let's go into this. Let's click on this. This is a picture for those at home of Elijah Wood on a bird scooter.
Oh my God, he's ripping a heater.
Fuck yeah, he is,
Dude, hands-free pro-union ripping a heater.
Bro, he saved the whole freaking world.
The day that changed everything. He's got a 1,000-yard stare that's staring into the future of American society.
He's hunting golems, dude.
Yeah, he's on the Nephilim. He's the Watcher.
Yeah, dude. Oh, definitely. He's got his ball certificates out. What did that say? Did it say anything else about him on that? That's crazy. And did you see him while you were there?
I have never seen something like this in person. It's by Evil Mopac. So this is spell work right here. This is deep. Elijah, a spell work, I told you, equals magic. I fucking told you.
Oh.
This is an incantation.
Despite my joke ways online, I actually quite miserly with my laughs. It's just how I was paved. But when something gets me, it really gets me. So on the fateful day when I saw the most quintessential 2018 Austin photo humanly possible pop into my Twitter timeline, I was reduced to a queeve.
Okay, Lovecraft, what are all these adjectives?
This is just some fucking Overwatch addict putting this shit together. Can you zoom down a little? Does it say anything else after that part? Oh, that's it. Oh, and you have to pay to read it. Come
said
on.
it was taken in September 2018 in Austin, Texas, while attending the Fantastic Festival. He tried out the app-based rental scooter Lime for the first time while holding a cigarette.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
It's so cool. This is like pictures taken moments before tragedy.
Well, let's hope not. I mean, well, actually, it would be, he's fine, so it's not.
Be avoided as destiny.
Yeah, we're not casting anything. That's the only thing. I don't want to cast anything.
No. No.
I don't want to do any spell work.
No, and we don't have to. And I don't do talismanic magic. It's my understanding neither does Elijah Wood. So.
But I saw you brought something. I saw you have a little thing, a bag of hair or whatever. What's that for?
Yeah, sure. So that's spare hair. So that's hair care. It's part of my self-care routine. So if anyone, while I'm talking to them, says like, hey, a big clump of your hair just fell out.
You're ready to go?
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, thank you. First of all, thanks for holding space for that. Second of all, do you have any Elmer's glue? So yeah, it allows me to kind of like keep my hairline like how I want it. So
Yeah, it looks great.
thanks. Yeah,
And I think if someone mails you their hair and you care for it,
it's everything.
I mean, that's crazy, dude. Yeah.
That's what fatherhood means to me. It's like having a son who's bald as a baby, like Caillou, or like Franklin the Turtle, and then just getting a big old glob of mush and just smooching it on top of that freaking think
Dude,
tank.
One time we were on a cruise ship. Not one of the ones that like is sinking or has like shit floating on it or whatever
Sure.
that Netflix keeps advertising. But one of the regular ones, we were on there and we had Halloween, but we didn't have any costume store. So some guy would sold a bunch of his pubic hair and people were like gluing it on with honey as mustaches and stuff. So everybody could be like the husband from everybody could be Sam Elliott.
Oh, that's so cool.
Let's play this video right here.
Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Other people gonna think that?
I think most people will, but I don't know.
Feel like he gay or straight. Nigga look like he gay a bit. Nigga booty power and shit. Why you say that? That nigga got this little like gay ass outfit on like it's Halloween and shit. Like what the fuck you trying to do, nigga? Alright, you gay or straight? I'm straight in the bit. You think other people gonna think that? Like they gonna know that. Feel like he
I like
gay or
his shirt.
straight?
Nigga gay as a bitch.
Every
Why you
time
say
it's
that?
Look at
gay.
that dumbass ass. Nigga,
You gay or straight?
think, bro. What's up?
You think other people gonna think that? Feel like he gay or straight?
That's a small man.
Why you say that? Because you gay or straight? You gay? I'm straight. You think other people gonna think that? They better. Feel like he gay or straight?
That nigga is gay as fuck.
Every time,
Why you
dude.
say that?
Look how this nigga is standing. What
Heated.
the fuck? That nigga popped up like a little bad bitch.
You gay or straight?
I'm straight as a pencil.
Why you think other people gonna think that?
Hell yeah.
You feel like he gay or straight?
He could be bisexual.
Fact.
Why you say that?
Everybody bisexual.
Nah. You gay or straight?
I don't care what the fuck they think. They
Let's
can kiss
go.
my ass.
Feel like he gay or straight?
Gay as fuck.
Why you say that?
What the fuck is he wearing, nigga?
Who is that? John Jones? Who is
You
this?
gay or
That's
straight?
Bones Jones.
Straight as fuck.
You think other people
Is that
gonna think
Indiana John Jones, dude? Who the fuck is that?
George Jones Jones.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That was a cool outfit. I'd like to get to a place in comfortability and metaphysical wellness where I could wear a chain around my neck with a lock on it.
Yeah, I think you could do it, dude.
I think I could pull it off. I used to paint my nails and then I would go to rehab like a week later. It happened. It happened several times in my adult life. I would paint my nails like, you know, twirling my hair, talking on a corded phone, like paint my nails. And then I'd wake up like a couple days later and I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm being fashion forward, but I am turning the clock back.
Oh, you're a fucking just a little leap year. You
Yeah,
were.
I'm a leap year baby. I have Benjamin Button's disease, but I'm right in the middle between young and old, so I'm normal. Brutal.
Oh. So sobriety. So can I ask you something about it?
Mm-hmm.
How's it been? Was there like a point that you got? Was it like drinking? Was it, or was it just like you were just feeling like disconnected from your own life? And congrats on having the wherewithal to like try something new. Like even just to be like, okay, I've been in Austin. This is what's going on. I'm gonna try something new. It's so hard to come to that conclusion for some of us.
Yeah, well, I struggle with those things since I was a kid, and I would have long stretches of sobriety. When I was younger, it would be alcohol, and then where I grew up in Georgia, I was in high school during like the Purdue Pharmaceuticals, like that, all that stuff.
Oh, really?
So a lot of my friends got addicted to like Oxycontin and stuff like that. So like that, I was exposed to drug use like that when I was younger. So off and on, and mostly I would sometimes go back to it when I couldn't deal with pressure. You know, there's a lot of excuses for things like that. But yeah, it had gotten to a point where I no longer wanted to do comedy. I no longer wanted to really do anything. I just felt like almost not like I had wasted my life, because I love what I do, and I really like getting to meet people, and I love making people happy. But it got to be too much when coupled with a habit that I had developed of various drugs and alcohol and things like that.
Yeah.
Where I was like, something has to change. Like, something has to change. I
Right.
had-
So you got to that point, something has to change.
yeah, I had resigned myself to the idea of a certain death, and that did not scare me. It would have been, I looked at it at that point as some sort of like welcome to relief. Like, I had gone past the point of anyone being able to help me or me being able to help myself. And then when I did reach out and I did seek some help for that stuff, I realized that that's not what I wanted at all. What I really wanted was to figure out a better way to live. That I really just wanted to have some peace in my life that I knew, even in the throes of it, was not being given to me by drugs and alcohol. It was the opposite of that. It was making my life 1,000 times worse.
Oh.
And by, I've been able to cut so much guff out of my life, so much guff and slime. And I'm able to look around today and I know that I don't live in shame about my life. I don't say things to people I don't mean. I don't hurt my friends' feelings. I can be a better partner. I can kick a soccer ball. I can. It was soccer ball based. So I looked around and I was like, you know what? This house is missing a soccer ball. And then I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I said, you're in no condition to kick a soccer ball. You're going to hurt somebody. But it's just really basic things. You know, I wanted to be involved again. I wanted to be in the stream of life. And
Yeah, dude.
it's been so beautiful. I'm just so happy. And I don't think it's a temporary happiness. I think it'll be sustained if I continue to work on this still.
I know, huh?
Yeah.
Are you able to look and see? Congrats too, man. I know it's not like a thing that it's like is a congrats thing, but when you think about our world, to take a break from anything
Yeah.
and make a commitment to take a break from something and do it, it's tough.
Oh my gosh.
It's
yeah.
tough for any of us. We're all
Yeah.
there's so many ways to get addicted to distract ourselves from us.
Absolutely. It's a diseased thinking of I'm constantly, because you know I can do all kinds of things. I would spend too much money. I would gamble. I would do these things that on paper seem like a lesser thing than the usage of substances, and they are, but it's all just a symptom of a greater. I want to distract myself, and
Yes.
I want instant thrills that are followed by continuing to chase that thing.
What team are you betting on too? I'll tell you one I bet on.
I never did sports betting, I didn't lose. I don't think I have like a gambling addiction, but I would go. I don't gamble anymore. I'll say that.
Oh, bet.
I would do slots.
Oh, you do slots,
I
yeah?
do some spins.
Dude.
$5 spin, have a slap at the pokies.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
I would love, dude. Sometimes this time I didn't. I was just in Las Vegas, but I'd like to slip down there at night when nobody would be around. I'd sit there and play some slots. Just put in $20, $40.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and just fucking try to get a little bit of money out of China. You know, I'd yell at the machine. I'd be like, we're gonna fucking get your cash. you
We're
know?
coming, Beijing.
Yeah, we're coming, dude.
Congratulations.
Pork boy.
Yeah, you've popped the pig big. It's so funny. And this is not a bit. Heaven forbid I would. But it'll be like, congratulations. Congribidibus. You've won. You've been awarded $. Like you win $1, like a singular Judeo-Christian dollar.
And they sound it out. It takes for, and you're like, fuck, dude. If I would have just called it, even like just fucking taken a call on the phone and asked them for $2, I would have made more money.
Yeah.
Doing something else.
You've been accepted into the winner's circle. Press B to trust. And then you like press B, and then it's $1.47. And you're like, okay, I'm betting $5. You just told me I lost money.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you've won the deceased sibling round. We're gonna bring back Anna Marie, and you're like, oh my god,
My sister's back.
my sister's back.
But it's so funny. It'll
But
like.
that's how it's gonna get. Don't you see where we're going?
I know. That's gonna be in our freaking textbooks one of these days.
You're gonna have to go to the Wynn or Encore, or you're gonna have to go to Dragon's Beard or whatever the casinos will be named in, you know, or Faggots Realm or whatever they're called, right? You're gonna have to go to some of these places. Sorry.
You have to go to the circus of life.
Or Trump's Nuts, or whatever the casinos are going to be called. You're going to have to go there in the Biden's Oculus, right? You're going to have to go there, and they'll be like, get 4 spins and you'll see your father, and that's really what it's going to be like.
Yes, and you have to keep playing. You will use your social credit score to go have a round of spins at John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns, and you will be lucky to walk out with a talisman.
Yeah.
Or an amulet of any repute.
Yeah, dude.
It's brutal, and it's so. I always just think it's so funny how they'll be like, "Gar gar 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 gar, you've awarded the pig some hooves," and then they'll just like print you out $1. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, dude.
What do we? I mean, where do we go from here?
What are some things that you feel like? Because like I'll go to meetings. I'm gonna go to a meeting probably whenever I get done with this today. What are some things that the meetings do for you? Do you notice something like that over time?
Yeah.
Like going to recovery meetings? 'Cause
Yeah.
There's a lot of 12-step meetings out there,
Sure. I went this morning in Nashville. I like to at a very.
Did you go to that 7:30 meeting over there?
No, it was at a sober living in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
At 11:30. But at a very base level, what I can say is that I have never ever walked out of one feeling worse than I was walking in. I will always, even if there's 2 other people in there, and I've been to plenty of things like that, newer meetings or smaller towns, I'll always hear something that relates to my life or relates to how I want to have my life be. So it's just, I like to meet random people too. It's like, makes me uncomfortable. And then when I leave, I feel like I did something good because I know it's good for me. And I know I need it. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of cultivates a part of you that you can't even access. Like, I think for me, like, I share in meetings. I try to share most of the meetings that I go to. And I always wonder kind of why it's like, and then I was like, oh, well, when I was a kid, there wasn't like a place that was safe where I could speak up, right? Like at our house, you couldn't speak up. Nobody cared how you felt. I didn't even know I had any feelings except that I wasn't feeling good.
Sure.
And it was like nobody, and that was our whole like system at home.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes when I go in there, it's like, well, this is a place that's safe enough where I can speak up, even if I don't know exactly what I'm going to say or how exactly I feel. It gives me like a little bit of space to explore it. So it's almost like sometimes I feel like it's almost like the kid me or the younger me that's in there that's kind of like, I mean, it's an adult me, but it kind of like, it helps me honor a little bit of that. Like, here's this younger me that never got to speak up. So in here today, I'm going to sit here with you, and we're going to, you know what I'm saying, we're going to speak up for ourselves.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. I can definitely identify with some of those sentiments from feeling like a bit voiceless when I was younger. Yeah, it is. It's so nice to. Anytime I'll try to like prepare something smart to say, it'll be like you're a bumble. You're a troglodyte. Like I'm a mute. I'm a mute, deaf, speechless. But I'm like, it's summer's hard. And they're like, what are you? Not even who are you? What are you? And why? The big 3.
Dude, when somebody will share something in there that you've been wanting to say your whole life or hear, and you'll finally hear it, or and you're like, oh, I feel like a part of me, like will almost like the locks will like turn, and a new door will open.
Yeah, you feel like a weight has been lit. I can't even describe how it feels. Like really get involved in that stuff, and it's so crazy. It makes you feel like. I'm of the belief that the universe is all mental and it unfolds just for us. How can it not? Our life experiences are designated and interpreted solely for us. And when I'm in there, almost every time something will happen that's so kismet or a synchronicity, and you'll hear something you were just thinking about or something that's upcoming you've been worried about. And you're like, what are the odds of that? And it happens almost every day where you're like, I'm on the right path, When you do the right things, you get the right things. It might not be the things you want, but the things that you need at least.
And the little things you hear in there, man.
Yeah.
The little things like contrary action. Like, 'cause a lot of times I won't want it. If I don't want to do something, unless it's for like a reason where there's like safety concern or something like that, then I need to consider trying to go do it. Like, I don't really need to do this yoga. I don't really need to go and like walk over to my neighbors and drop this off. Just little. It's because there's a darker part of me that wants me to be by myself. That wants me to stay like isolated and sit and think and ponder about everything, and just learning those things. And eventually, I have to learn things a lot, right?
Yeah.
I have to learn things a lot. It's like my forgetter is really big. It's like it's almost like when I wake up in the morning. It's like there's a part of me that's forgotten if people care about me. That's forgotten if I care about me. You know, it's not exact, but there's a lot of like somebody comes in almost at night and cleans like the dry erase boards. You know,
I need to be reminded that I matter, and at a bigger level, other people matter more than me.
Yes.
Yeah. Other people matter. You know, I was the main actor in my life for so long, and it was all how things were affecting me and what I was doing. And it's so nice to, just genuinely give a shit about other people.
dude. Some of my best moments, or my favorites, are if I wake up and my first thought about somebody else. That's almost like God, thank you. Or if I'm just driving, I have to remember something somebody had said yesterday, like, oh, I'm going to call them and check on them about that.
Yeah.
Or something somebody cared about, and I was like, oh, let me see how that played out for them. The more of those I get, like, the better it feels.
Yeah, because we're meant to have community. And my mind does the same thing. It's so much easier. There's a million other things I could be doing for an hour a day than doing that. But when I'm alone, if I make an excuse like that, I'll make another excuse, you know?
Yes.
And I'll make another excuse. And it may not lead to drug use, but it definitely will lead to me having a sadder life. And at the very least, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so...
And it's like, I just remember people care about me. I'll walk into a meeting and I'm like, oh, yeah. Dude, I remember. And it's not that I forgot them or anything, but it's just like, I have to have this thing replenished.
Yeah.
That's like, yes, your heart works. You work. You're okay. Things are okay. There might be problems, but they're not that big, and everything's gonna be okay. It's almost like you just like, I don't know. It's like it definitely is like church. Some people are like, do you go to church? And it's like, I don't go to church every week, but in a way, I go to church 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel it.
And you feel it.
You were a big shot golfer.
I still am a big shot golfer.
You're delusional.
Did you miss me, everybody?
Son, we can play together. LeBron and Bronny. Stop saying LeBron and Bronny.
Yeah, like I walk out of there, I'm like, okay, if there's like, I mean, there's some days when it's rough. If somebody's sitting on their phone next to me the whole meeting, dude.
Or there's a kid running around, God forbid.
Oh.
A little Christmas kid. You
Yeah.
can tell it's like a New Year's Eve baby.
Yeah, and he's like, my birthday's coming up or whatever, and I'm like,
No, it's not. No, it's not. We're in July. I can tell you're a New Year's Eve baby.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here with your holiday spirits.
yeah. But no, man, I think that community's great. What do you think if there's somebody who's scared to try to go to a first meeting? You know, I'll have friends that'll ask me sometimes about like, or what do you say to somebody who's thinking like maybe I might be struggling with this, you know?
Sure. Well, something that I go back to is that it's just so nice to be around people who, you know, there's a saying, the saying of terminal uniqueness that makes people continue to struggle. That we think that we're so different in our suffering, that we're put on this earth just to suffer, and who am I to say if that's not the case? But everything you've been through has meaning, and of course it has meaning to you. But it doesn't really have that much helpful meaning to you. The things that you've gone through that are really bad, ruminating on that does not help. But when you put it out of you, and you see that it helps someone, even just for a day, like being around people who also hurt that way, it's just an incredible feeling. It's not a chore. It's not something you have to go do. It's something I look forward to doing.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice to look around and go, oh my God, I'm not this little freak.
Yeah.
I'm not this little guy that God forgot. You know, I'm someone that has purpose. Even if it's just for today, I can have a purpose of hanging out with these people, and I know that when I'm in there, I feel better. Even if it's just for that hour, even if I leave and I get back and I feel like shit again, and I'm going a little crazy, and I'm riffing a little too hard about a lot of things in my little brain. It's a safe place. Like, and I hate to use that term, but it's, you know, places like that are just, it's somewhere completely free of judgment. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, and there's nothing else like it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes some people are like, hey, do we come do this? I'm like, nah, I don't know if I'm doing that. You know, I don't know if I'm driving over to meet you at a Whataburger or something, you know, just because they're popping off because it's new or whatever and the seats are clean or whatever still.
Yeah, I'm not going animal style. You can't make me.
Yeah. But you were like, hey, you want to drive 20 minutes across town to go to like this 11:30 a.m. like meeting? It's going to be mostly older folks in this church. And I'm like, dude, yeah. That shit sounds popping.
I dig wisdom.
Yes,
dude. I love to talk to some old farmer. Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
I get off on talking to an old farmer.
Our plant's got AIDS. And you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's what happened.
He goes, when my arm's crying, I gotta feed it. When that baby's crying, I gotta feed it. And he go, hell yeah.
Don't come on my back and tell me it's raining. You know, shit like that. You're like, yeah. People always have crazy quotes. But no, man, it's definitely like, I don't know, and it's there for you. It's like if you have a tough time, if you leave, if you come in or out, the meetings are there. You can go back, right?
Yeah. It's just so nice to, like, something that really sat with me this last go around when I was trying to get my life together again is just the simple thought that I don't have to live like that. Like, whatever is making me feel like my life is, for want of a better term, escalating towards some terminal velocity where I've had so many times in my life where I feel like this is going to end bad. I'm working too much, or I'm worried about the wrong shit, or I'm using again, and I know it's going to end bad. And to know I don't ever have to feel like that again, because I know that I'm in control of my emotions now, and it's so great. I like to let yourself have peace. It's so hard. It's like the hardest thing in life.
Yeah, why is it hard,
I
man?
don't know.
It's such a fascinating thing. I've never really like that. To let yourself have peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want to let myself have peace, man. It's like, or I don't know if I don't think, or I'm not saying I don't, but it's like that would be the like, yeah, I don't. Do I not deserve? Like, what is that?
I don't know if it's something just the way that we're wired, where
Because that's
know.
it. That's some of the wiring is right there. Why won't I let myself have peace? I have friends that like, and I've struggled. I've had some tough years over the years for sure. And but I've had some friends that won't get close to it. You know,
yeah,
won't try to get close to the fire. They want to just keep trying to do it.
well, it's familiar.
It's
Yeah.
familiar, and there's a thing of like, I'll figure this out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
world,
I've gotten myself this far.
right, and the world feels like you. I don't know. When I was younger, I put a chip on my shoulder like the world was an enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna figure this out, and watch me. And then the worst part is if you have some successes in your life or things that go kind of your way, it's hard to realize that like something,
Yeah.
because then you feel like, oh well, I'll figure this out too.
Yeah, because I did this for myself. I uprooted myself. I made this happen. But then also, I've made a lot of the bad things in my life happen.
That's true, dude.
Drinking tuss, walking down the road, having a little slip and slide.
Oh,
Karmically speaking, I'm a
Yeah.
karmic patsy. I'm a charlatan of redemption. I'm a tuss man.
Oh,
But
dude, you're the Jack Ruby
yeah.
of that realm. You know?
I am Jack Ruby, and I am Nikola Tesla, and we are building a free energy circuit that Edison will shut down.
Yeah, for sure.
That ego is so good, because it's like no one really helped me become a comedian. No one taught me how to tell jokes. No one, I slept in my car for a long time. I spent my whole life working on this thing. So when we're able to turn that into something that is working, of course, I think we're apt to believe like, oh, I'll turn this around too by
Right.
myself. That's just, we both know that's not the case. It's just not
Yeah, it's just-
possible.
It's just willpower. It's vibrant willpower. I'm amazed at the willpower sometimes of people that struggle. Like I have friends whose parents are out on the streets or have been struggling for 20, 30 years, and I'm sure some of them even ask me, why do you think this is? What's going on? It's like, I don't know. But you just try to talk with somebody about that stuff, and it's just the willpower of alcohol, of people that are in recovery of alcoholism, of alcoholics. It's strong. It's like, I'll figure this out. I'll turn this around. Or then sometimes I bet you just get you just get trapped in shame, and then you just want to stay away from your life because you feel like, I don't want to go around these people because I'll only make things worse for them. That's got to be kind of a crazy trap.
Yeah, that you're too far gone and you're like radioactive.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, definitely.
But
That you feel like people will be better off without you, which is such a dangerous thought that is never, ever, ever, ever true. Yeah.
it's never true. You've talked about the occult a lot, right? And I feel like you've gone around up and down those realms. You reference, you low key, your closet occult. People say, okay, occult adjacent.
No, I've read about all kinds of religions and stuff. So Sometimes I'll throw some buzzwords out there. I do
Will
like
ya?
to.
Will you do that?
I'll throw some buzzies. I'll do a little buzz. I'll catch in a little fly
You're
trap.
the Oral Hershiser of throwing buzzwords out
Oh
there.
yeah, Casey Orangeall, James Sensen Rocca.
Oral Hershiser.
Oh yes.
Sorry, I think he was one of the best pitchers before you were born. Dude, when I was a kid, like the best pitcher was kind of an old white dude. It was like, okay.
Randy Johnson.
It was before him. It was like Randy Johnson's daddy or whatever. And
Candy Johnson.
yeah, bring up Oral Hershiser. There he is, dude. He's a legend. Yeah, him and Walker Bueller actually look alike. But from Buffalo, New York, man, he's a legend. But he was a legend when I was growing up. You know, it was just like a white guy that was able to do it. And then things got Latino and just more diverse. But what I was going to ask you, where do you feel like we're at spiritually as a people right now? Do you feel like we're in a tough spot? Do you see a different future for us? Like, what do you really see? Having somebody who like kind of is willing to kind of massage the crystal ball of different realms.
That is a interesting question, and happy to be here. But that's difficult. I think for me, as part of a better life that I've tried to live, I love reading about different kinds of positive philosophy from antiquity. So, Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, up through different. I've had different times in my life where I was more or less a believer of existential nihilism, that life had no purpose, that we were put into this world simply from a dying God, sort of a Gnostic worldview of we don't have any purpose because we will ultimately die, right? So in doing so, the end justifies the means in the sense of whatever we end up doing, it does not serve any sort of greater good. But I believe the opposite of that today. I think as human beings, and these thoughts are sort of a mishmash of various other things, mostly the tenets of Hermeticism and some sort of Kabbalah, not Kabbalic, not like a cult, but the universe is always in motion, and we're a part of the universe, right? So I know that my life serves a greater good today, and I also know that I can be a driving force in my life while also knowing that I can only drive so far. So all I can choose to do is, as they say, the right-hand path of doing the right thing and the next right thing. And if I do something wrong to a friend, small things. The mistakes I make today are smaller. I can be snippy. I can be rude. I can be non-emotionally available. I can immediately act to correct that, right? So it's some iteration of karma and some iteration of the understanding that life is suffering. It hurts to know that we're alive and to know that we're worth more than we'll be given. But
Dang, that's crazy, dude. I never heard that before.
yeah, people, the meaning of life is just, it's the small things. It's to mean something in a moment by moment basis, and to do things without the purpose of distraction. So it's so much easier, we've both struggled with drugs and alcohol to turn that knob off. But I'm gonna have to wake up again tomorrow. And that's the thing about like developing a drug habit, is like I would always be so furious when I would wake up. Oh my God, I have to do this again. I can't believe I have to do this again. But I'm of the belief that we were all created so the universe can understand itself. So I'm simply a cog in such a greater machine of, I only exist because at the end of my timeline I serve some greater purpose, for the creator of the universe, whatever you want to call that.
And who do you hope it is? Like, say if it is like and I think that's beautifully put, dude. I really do. That's pretty cool, man. You're an eloquent speaker. You're going to be a great screenwriter. Yeah, it's going to be exciting, man. I admire the fact that you're willing to do something that you want to do, right? Like, I think it's easy to get trapped in like, there's popularity here, there's some money here, there's reward, there's like ego reward here. But is this really like what I really want to do? Like sometimes I really want to just focus on learning Spanish and be a writer, right? Some of those are things that I think, right?
It gives me self-worth.
Right. But then you get caught in different things, and sometimes they're blessings and it's great paths and stuff, but it's like, yeah, do we reward like that, do we reward that thing inside of us that also that that was the reason maybe we started out wanting to be creative. Like sometimes you'll get on such a path that you never get back to those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's been so nice to bring it back to comedy in any capacity, to do things just for fun, to go do an open mic at like a hot dog stand.
Yeah.
It's like I used to love stuff like that. I used to live for shit like that. And then when you get caught up in all the numbers and how are the tickets, when you get caught up in all that, it some of it gets lost.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of losing stuff, you know. I needed to trim some of my hedges, right? Tall poppy syndrome. I needed to cut down some of these egotistical parts of my life that I know don't serve me. And then it's a daily thing of figuring out, you know, chipping away at the block of happiness and trying to get a firmer picture of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
I think well said. In the end, when we get there, do you, and it's, and we realize, oh, this was just a big masked singer, right?
Sure.
And they take it off, they take the mask off. Who do you hope it is?
Bill Paxton. Yeah.
Who played for the Bulls? That Bill Paxton?
That's John Paxton.
John Paxton.
So, Bill Paxton, I'm an American actor who was in Aliens and Frailty. Just famed character actor Bill Paxton, who did have leading man potential and was sometimes given the option to exercise that. Died in a medical malpractice incident, and he once told me, yeah, he got malpractice to heaven.
Oh, that's what happened with Kanye's mom. It was him and Kanye's mom then, maybe.
Yeah, I think they were doing like a dual surgery or something. They were doing sutures or something. It was a suture day.
Oh, it's probably one of those new, because I know that insurance is offering if you both get surgery on the same day,
Yeah.
it's someone you don't know. It's like, then yeah, well, it's cheaper.
Sure. Yeah, it's half as much for twice the people. So
Yeah. It's a new, and they're doing that new drive-by surgery where some guy just reaches out and like, oh, yeah.
Ow. But yeah,
There's a lot of great offers coming from the gods above. You know?
Oh yes, sure. We're simply vessels, man.
Bill Paxton died in February 2017 from a fatal stroke. Oh, man. 11 days after undergoing heart surgery, his family filed a wrongful death lawsuit accusing the surgeon and hospital of medical malpractice, alleging the doctor used an unnecessary, unconventional technique.
Cedars Sinai. Full circle riff. Put a bow on it.
AKA Cedars Cyanide, a lot of people call it, you know, which is another. And they are coming out with a yogurt, I've heard, so that's good.
We are doing squatters' rights on that riff. We are here to cut the ribbon on that riff.
Before you go, Casey, the riffs, you're a different instrument, man. You're a different instrument. How do you best set yourself up for the ability to riff? Do you have to do a certain sequence of events before you go on? Like, and not to put a lot of pressure on yourself, but if you notice certain things lead to better tuning for yourself as an instrument?
Oh, that's a good question. Without giving away my entire process, which I am not even capable of replicating, which really gets me in a bind. When I can't even do my own act and I'm the one who does it, yikes. I like to have some tent poles. So I'll go out there, I'll cause a bit of a fuss. And I'll say this, I like to go up there and sing because it gets me out of my head. So I learned a long time ago, the most embarrassing thing you could ever do is try to sing genuinely, like in a circumstance that does not call for it. So I'll go up there, I'll do a little grunge number, do a little Alabama Shakes, Brittany Howard, and I can feel super embarrassed. And then I go, well, surely nothing for the rest of this hour will feel like how that just felt. So that allows me to just sort of peel the mask off and then do a big Scooby-Doo reveal of me to myself in the mirror. And then I do a quick wink, and I will have some tent poles. So I'll try to do 3 jokes that I know I'm going to tell. So before I go up and I do my hour, I'll know 3 jokes that I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then I'll do joke, joke, joke. And then from there, hopefully I've got about 10 to 20 laughs at this point. And if you extrapolate, let's say the room's 500, which is bigger than rooms that I do. Let's say in a perfect world, I'm headlining 500 seaters. If I get 10 laughs out of 500, I go, ooh, I only got 490 to go. So that I'll do a couple jokes up top. That'll give me the confidence I need to string it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're. But I have like 1,000 half-sentence jokes, so
Got it.
if I ever lose my train of thought, I'll just like hit them with. I'll just do a quick stinky. So that's like an example of a joke. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're like an Easter basket that has matches in it, dude. You're like, there's just something going on.
Careful with the plastic wrap; you'll set the whole thing off.
Cadbury indeed. It's just, yeah, there's something just so charming about your presentation of yourself.
Thanks for saying that.
It's the truth.
Thanks.
I hope you feel that in a place where we need to feel things that are important, and but I just think like, yeah, I don't know. I don't mean that because I'm saying that to you, but I just think, yeah, there's I don't know. It's a great thing to watch. You're a great thing to watch, Casey Rocket.
Thanks. Me and my friends watched No Offense on Netflix, your special,
Oh, thanks.
right when I started comedy, and it was very formative for me. And I thought it was so funny, and I'd never seen anything like it. So I really appreciate you saying that. Thanks, man.
Well, you bet, dude. I'm glad that we've been able to communicate, man. I hope we can do it more. I think I'm gonna try to come out there tonight.
You should. Come riff, or at least come hang out. You don't have to riff, but come hang out. It'd be so fun.
It will be so fun, dude. I think I'm gonna go it because I think it's probably what I need to do. Contrary action.
It's my crowds, and I'm sure your crowds too, but they'll just be so happy to see you. You'll have so much fun.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm coming, man. Yes. What time is your show at?
7 o'clock.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm supposed to go to a 6:30 meeting, but maybe I can find a 6, or maybe I can go to one after.
Yeah.
Casey Rocket, you got some tour dates coming up?
Yeah, I'm on the road. CaseyRocketComedy.com.
Up in Liberty Township over there, Cincinnati. That's a good place over there.
Doing some more funny bones this year. One thing I want to plug, I have an hour of my stand-up on my Patreon.
Okay.
It's $6, and all the money goes to harm reduction programs in Chicago. So community outreach, clean needles, harm reduction, all kinds of good stuff that helps people get the help that they need. So yeah, my Patreon's on there, and if you feel like doing that, just know that all that money goes to charity. So yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Congrats on all the success, dude. Thanks for talking with us. They had Liberty Township. What were some of the other ones? Let me just rattle them off real quick. Columbus, Ohio. I love being in Ohio, dude. St. Petersburg, Florida. Asheville, North Carolina. Have you been there?
I have not done the Orange Peel yet, but I've been to Asheville, so it's always
Cool, dude. Baltimore, Maryland. Got offered a threesome there by older mixed couple. One of them who I think was wearing an Ed Reed jersey. We got Chicago back at Zany's, Indianapolis, Louisville, a lot of places. You can check him out online on his website, CaseyRocket.com.
CaseyRocketComedy.com.
CaseyRocketComedy.com.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And before you go, I just want to get this note in for viewers. No, the Jasper Mall in Jasper, Alabama has not officially closed. It is still operating, though in a very reduced and dead mall state.
Dead Mall State, that's what's going to happen when the nuclear family collapses.
Not to be confused with Dead Mall 5, actually, who I think is still doing well. Can you bring up Dead Mall?
Yeah, I think that's one of Marshmallow's aliases. So it's like Dead Mouse. Yeah, he's what do they call it? The Marshmallow Extended Universe. So.
Yes.
Oh my
Dead
God,
Mall.
face reveal. Okay, spoiler alert.
Didn't know that was him. I hope he's doing good. Anyway, cool, man. Dude, thank you so much for your time. Have a great show tonight. I'm going to come up there and I'll figure it out when I get up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'll say one more thing.
Yeah, for sure.
There's more to life than riffs, but there's not more to riffs than life. That's it.
That's it. See you at the mall.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone.
Father Ripperger.
Sean, it's good to see you again.
It's good to be here.
Welcome to our place.
It's beautiful here. I would love to get a tour here.
Oh, absolutely. Afterwards, we'll do it.
Perfect. Well, like I said, it's great to see you again, and I've had a great couple of days here. Got some heavy work done, and so we got a lot to talk about. I've been highlighting a lot of evil the past couple of years, and I haven't talked much about the good side.
Right.
And so I fully intend to do that today. But before we get started, everybody gets a gift.
Oh, that's
So-
right, yeah. Oh,
So
that's awesome.
this is the SIG MCX Spear 556 model with a 6-hour suppressor on it. It's got SIG optics, SIG magnifier. And since you're out here in Colorado, out on some serious acreage, I thought,
We'll
this would be
have
a
to.
great gift.
Thank you very much. We'll have to test it out later this afternoon. That is
Definitely
awesome.
do that.
Thank you very much. Your last gift was well received. Let's just put it that way.
Well, my friend Jason over at SIG's a huge fan of you as well, and he wanted me to gift that to you. So
Yeah.
there
Very
we
good.
go.
Thank you very much.
There are trucks, and then there's the 2026 GMC Sierra. It's the truck. Get 0% APR on this Sierra Denali. With employee pricing for everyone, that's over $13,000 total value.
Guys, if you're still balding in 2026, what are you doing? There's an easy solution.
So before we get started, if you don't mind, could you please lead us in prayer?
Sure. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Direct, O Lord, all our actions by thy holy inspirations, and carry them on by thy gracious assistance, so that every prayer and work of ours may begin from thee and by thee, be happy through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
So I'm going to be honest. I actually came here originally. My plan was a completely different agenda. And I came here to attempt to eviscerate and destroy two politicians within the current administration that I think are going to over-exaggerate their allegiance to the Catholic Church to try to sway the Catholic vote.
Right.
And I'm not going to do that. The last couple of weeks, I've just realized that the battle maybe isn't over the country, not even over the world. It's over our souls and over our mind.
That's right.
And I don't think it matters who walks into that office. It is going to be somebody under heavy diabolical influence,
That's right.
maybe even straight Satanism.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing today is human sacrifice. I don't think it matters what side gets in there. They're either going to send our youth to war to die for another country, or they're going to psychologically mutilate their brains and convince them to mutilate their bodies and dismember themselves. And I think that it all goes down to human sacrifice.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I do. I think for some time, this was about 10 years ago, I made an observation in a public conference that this is no longer a battle of ideas. It's no longer a battle of, that people have differences of opinions. This is a battle of good and evil at this point. And so many of the patterns which we see in the psychological behavior of people who are diabolically influenced, you see those same patterns in the people that are running the government and, in positions of power. And so for the longest time, I've known that this is ultimately a battle over good and evil at this point. So regardless of what, as you mentioned, regardless of whichever political party or whoever gets in there, you can shuffle the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, but it's still going to go down if people don't address this in a spiritual manner.
I'll tell you one thing I've learned over the past several weeks is I will never put my hope or faith in another man.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Yeah, it says it right in Scripture, right? It's better to trust in God than in princes, because they'll end up selling you out every time. I actually saw this even with when the Jews said we wanted a king. They told God they wanted a king, which is ironic because the Jews were the only ones who ever had a theocracy, an authentic theocracy in the entire history of the world, and they still said they wanted a king. So then he says, well, this is what he's going to do. If I give you the king, this is what he's going to do to you, and you know, he's going to send your children off to war. He's going to, you know, take your best lands. He's going to do this, that, and the other thing. And they said, we still want a king. So
We never learn.
we don't learn.
So before we get to the good stuff, I do want to cover the alien topic again.
Okay.
I think it's a dark topic, and I have an inclination, it's already been put out in messaging, that the aliens wrote the Bible to control humanity. That's already a narrative that's being spread.
Right.
We have a timeline of events here that's going on. I'll read them real quick. And the timeline seems to be speeding up. Here's the last couple of months. March 2026, Vice President Vance says publicly he believes UFOs are demons. The spiritual read reaches the second highest office in the country. May of 2026, the U.S. government releases UFO files in splashy headline-grabbing fashion. Disclosure moves from fringe to official. Late May, a group of charismatic pastors claims U.S. officials met with them and warned them to prepare their churches for the theological implications of disclosure. May 29th to June 3rd, Stephen Rossetti posted video. Most UFO sightings are, in fact, demons.
Right.
Cardinal Melroy removes him at Washington, D.C.'s exorcist within days.
Right.
June 7th, Spielberg on CBS Morning frames the faith question for a mass audience. Is God our God only on this planet? June 12th, Disclosure Day opens nationwide in a film which the government releases UFO files mirroring real events 3 weeks earlier.
Asbestos lung cancer? Call 917 Lawyers.
The Tempur-Pedic breeze makes sleep feel cool. So no more sweating all night or blasting the air conditioner, because the Tempur-Breeze feels up to 10 degrees cooler all night long. Find cooler sleep with the Tempur-Breeze collection at an Ashley near you.
Right.
Why are we seeing this sudden fascination within our government in a sped-up timeline in UFO and disclosure release, along that coincides with Hollywood?
My only, ultimately, I don't know why they're going to do it, other than it's just another aspect of trying to control people psychologically, or to manipulate people, and so that's part of it is that they're playing on the fact that people generally are pretty ignorant about history, like, as we were mentioning, that that the scriptures were actually written by aliens, that type of thing, or that the aliens actually come here to offer us a way to save humanity, so they want to supplant Christianity and that type of thing. And so my suspicion is, again, how much evidence I would have for it, I don't really know, but my suspicion is that a lot of the people that are in government are actually anti-Christian, and so part of their goal is to supplant Christianity by an alternative explanation of our origins and things of that sort.
Do you think it is a possibility that the narrative that they are going to try to destroy Christianity by saying that aliens wrote the Bible to control us? Do you think that is an actual possibility?
Yeah, actually, if you look at the history of, like, for example, of, the supposed alien communication with people other than, say, abductions, but there's also where people claim to have some type of communication with aliens on another planet through astral projection or some other form of communication. It's always to supplant Christianity as the solution to man's problems. The demons, or not the demons so much, but because we can get into that too, but the aliens always say, well, we're here, we're coming, or this is what we want to communicate to you to provide a solution to all of man's problems. We can help you out with that. And then sometimes they even will proposed that, that human beings originated, that they were basically just the spawn or the seeds from their having visited our planet in the past. So it's basically a whole supplanting of the Genesis narrative about man's origins and things of that sort. So the whole idea is to supplant Christianity as the actual understanding of reality, ultimately.
Would God have made another race somewhere else in the universe?
Well, there's two. My view of all these things tends to be very complex because of the fact that, as an exorcist, I follow what's called the principle of evidence very closely. And the principle of evidence says that the certitude of our judgment about something is based upon the certitude of the evidence. So if the evidence doesn't give us certitude, we can kind of arrive at a conclusion, but we don't have that same degree of certitude that you would have of if you actually saw something or that type of thing. And so, that being said, if you actually look at the actual evidence for the possibility of them living in other locations, then you have to address questions like, is macroevolution, not microevolution, is macroevolution even possible? Is it scientifically possible, which is very problematic. Theologically and philosophically, there's all sorts of problems with it. And the reason for that is because the theory is that if there was evolution here, then that means there would be evolution in the other parts of the universe, and so there would be beings that would evolve maybe before us and therefore be more intelligent, etc. And so that's kind of the scientific background that they kind of give to it. But the evolution question is obviously a whole kind of an interview on its own. But that's one of the questions that has to actually be answered first. The second thing then is, as I've read top tier astrophysicists who actually are really serious about, not just because we see something in the sky that we can't explain and therefore we conclude that they're from another planet, and that's where the principle of evidence is actually violated. Because in point in fact, just because you see something you can't explain doesn't mean there's people on other planets. That's a logical leap that's problematic. And then the abduction questions, which are often linked to those things, then also has another possible explanation, etc. So what's happening is that people are not following the principle of evidence closely. But when you read the astrophysicists, the top tier astrophysicists, they're all very adamant in saying that the energy requirements to be able to travel, even from like one of our closest neighbors, is so extreme that it's not reasonable to presume that it's even possible. I mean, based upon the science and the mathematics.
I mean, why would God create other beings anyways? I mean, he loves us so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I can feel the battle within me of good and evil. I can feel it. I think a lot of people can feel it.
Yeah, in a certain sense.
And just a caveat to that, I mean, we're the only species on the planet that even is aware of its own death.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
Why wouldn't he make another super intelligence here on this planet? Why would it? Why?
Well, so, and therein actually lies a specific philosophical question. If you actually look at, there's a principle called the hierarchy of being, which basically means that when God created the universe, he created it in a hierarchy from the lowest thing, like the lowest elements, rocks, that type of thing, all the way up through the highest, which is the angels at the very top. And there's every single intermediate stage has some kind of a being. This is why we see all sorts of different kind of animals and that type of thing that goes up through the gradation. And the human beings are, as we read in scripture, a little less than the angels. So we're the ones that bridge the gap between the angels and animals, because we're a rational animal, right? So we're animals, but we have rationality, and that's why we're the only ones that have knowledge of that type of thing. And so to put it in philosophical terms, the specific difference that human beings have from other animals is precisely the fact that we're rational, we're intelligent, and we can know these things. So that's what makes us specifically different. If you have other beings and other planets, then you'd actually have a problem with the principle of the hierarchy of being, because you'd have to have two beings that have the same specific difference, but they're not in the same species. The other part of it is, and this is where the real supplanting of Christianity occurs. I know there's theologians who have tried to argue contrary to this, but it never washed, which is basically, if Adam and Eve were created in a state of perfection, And then there was a fall as a result of that. Then when Christ came, he came specifically to redeem Adam's line, or not, yeah, Adam's line. His whole, in fact, the fathers say that where the crucifixion took place is directly over the tomb where Adam was buried, specifically to indicate that his was the spilling of his blood to redeem the line of Adam. And so original sin, which was committed, which we're all messed up as a result of that, is passed on through human nature. Okay, if that was the case, then you would actually, if that's the case theologically, which we all believe. Even Protestants recognize that there was this sin that they originally committed, and now we're all kind of affected by it. Then what happens is you would actually have beings in the universe, intelligent beings, that were not from the line of Adam, but were now subject to the effects. Because St. Paul says that, and which we actually see, says the whole of creation groans under the weight of the sin, basically of Adam. In other words, all of the universe got affected as a result of Adam's sin, because he was the one that was placed in dominion over the totality of the naturally created order. And so when he fell, he took the whole created order with him, and that's why we see death among animals. This is why we see starvation even among animals and things like that. So even they suffer as a result of that. Well, you'd actually have a being that wasn't in that line, and would still be somehow subject to it. And so that creates a theological problem. There's all sorts of other issues that actually arise in relationship to the whole positing of those creatures in another location. The second part about it is that if the fathers of the church, so the fathers of the church are those that were writing from right at the death of the last apostles up until about 800 to 1,000. And the reason why in the church we tend to pay quite a bit of attention to them is because they were so close to the time of the apostles that they actually had the tradition and certain things from the apostles that was still intact. So they actually understood, when the apostles wrote certain things in Scripture, what those things meant, because they had this proximity of people who were still alive and say, yeah, this is what he said and this is what we understood by it. So that's why the fathers of the church are so key, okay? But the fathers of the church, basically make it very clear that we are basically, human beings are the center of the moral universe, in the sense that even the angels that were created, their entire battle, which we can talk about later, their entire creation and their entire battle, all revolved around us, ultimately, in the end. And so you would actually have a situation where there's beings on other planets where the whole totality of the angelic order had nothing to do with them. So there's a lot of theological problems. And so in the end, the idea that there's beings on other planets, which by the way is not new, this has been around for millennia, this idea was wholeheartedly rejected by philosophers, theologians, and even scientists in large part now.
Let me tell you guys a story real quick. Once upon a time, there was a guy who joined the SEAL teams. And then he went to CIA, and he did some contracting over there. Guy, and this and by almost full of fellas, maybe you wouldn't buy things like on sea.
Track step, switch in the labs over and get us about more than portable and your help. Not there, sir. Be assigned to
so important to. Why are we so important to God? I mean, everything He created is for us, to protect us.
Right. Ultimately, because
for us to live off of. I mean, everything. We. It seems that human beings, we're everything to Him.
Yeah.
Why us? Why are we so important? Why does He love us so much?
I think there's two reasons. One is because we're made in His image. And that image, the theological tradition is very clear, is because we have intelligence and free will. So He made us that way to be like Him in that regard. Because His choice to create us was purely free. He didn't have to, but He made it. So when He created us, In fact, St. Augustine makes the observation that one of the greatest signs of God's omnipotence is the ability to create something and sustain it in being, and even sustain its acts in being, that has the ability to choose between different goods. It isn't determined to one thing. That's a sign of omnipotence. And so in us is his image and the manifestation of his glory. So if you read the theologians, especially like Thomas Aquinas, he makes the observation that because God is goodness itself, the proper object of God's love and will is himself, because he's goodness itself. The difference is we aren't goodness itself, and so for us to make ourselves our own objects of our own love basically is disorder, because we're only good because we are somehow participate in his good, okay? But when he creates us, it's called the principle of redundance. The good redounds to us, and so we are good in many ways by virtue of the fact that we manifest intelligence and will. We can make choices. We can become virtuous, and so as a result of that, he sees the good in us, and then that's why he loves us, because we're like him. And so his love for us, and even when he shows his love for us, is directly proportionate to how much we're like him.
What was before everything? What was before angels? What was before us? What was before? Was there always good and evil? Or was there just good?
There was just good, because there was just God. The difficulty with saying what was before us is the fact that we're transposing time on God. So there's actually three states that beings exist in. There's what's called eternity, which has neither a beginning or an end. And there's no sequence of events. It's just the eternal now. That's what God is in. And so God actually sees what you're doing now, what you did in the past, what you're going to do in the future. He sees whether you make it to heaven. He sees all of that at the same instance, because there's no beginning or end with him. And so in a certain sense, there's no before or after with God. So God, who was in eternity, if we want to put it from our perspective, before he created us, even though even that's not entirely accurate, but God always existed. So in God, whose goodness itself, there was only good. Then he creates the angels into what's called the Avum, which has a beginning, but it has no end. And so the angels will always exist. When we die and go to heaven, we enter into the Avum, because it will never end. So we'll either be in heaven or we'll be in hell for all eternity. So there's that. In this life, when he created us, he created us in time, which is kind of a law or a structure which regulates the passage of matter through motion, is basically the way the philosophers talk about it. But it has a beginning and it will have an end at the final judgment, okay? So before God created the angels and us, he always was, and so there was only good. When he created the angels, he created them in a state of innocence, in a state of perfection, and also what's called the state of grace, that there was in their natures or substance a qualitative reflection of him, a participation in his divine nature, is how St. Paul describes it. But he created them in that state of perfection. And then some of them, through their free choice, chose to reject that, and that's when evil first entered.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting...
How many angels are there? Do we know?
We don't know the exact number, obviously, but we know they're in the order of billions. And the reason we know that is just because it is what they call in theology, we have various degrees of certainty about theological propositions. So, for example, that Christ is God, we know it is part of divine revelation, so it's absolutely certain. But then there's some other things like this particular question of whether each person has their own guardian angel is called theologically certain. It's not divinely revealed, but there's indicators in Scripture for it. So, and then also just through the Church's tradition and our experience of the Church, we know that each person was created for their own guardian angel. So if that's the case, then that being the case, The number of human beings that's generally speculated to have lived is about 20 billion. So we know and there's 9 hierarchies, there's, nine choirs of angels. Of the lowest rank is the angels, and each one of us got a guardian angel. So that means just in that lowest rank, just one subset is 20 billion. But there's more angels that also were given other jobs. And so it's literally in the billions. As you go up the hierarchy, it becomes less and less number of angels in each one of the choirs. But we know that there are literally billions. The fascinating thing is, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, but then also to which he bases it off, Super Dionysius' writings in the early church, very early church, within the first 1 or 2 centuries of the church, that entire hierarchy of angels was created instantaneously all at once. Instantaneously all at once. So unlike human beings, which God, creates our souls, and there's more of us that are created over time, the whole 9 choirs were all of them created instantaneously at once.
Were our souls all created at once?
No. They're created at the time of your conception. So your soul's created and infused in you at the time of your conception. So human beings, there's an ongoing creation in relationship to their souls, but angels, the totality of them were created all at once.
How long before humans were there angels? Do we know that?
The fathers of the church say that when he created this totality of the angels, then he immediately after that began the creation in the creation account in Genesis. He began the creation. So he first, creates the light, things like that. So you have that first day, it follows immediately upon that, and then human beings follow after that.
Can we talk about the hierarchy?
Sure.
What is the hierarchy?
So the angels were created in a hierarchic structure, and there's 9 choirs broken into what they call ranks. So there's 3 ranks. So it's kind of almost like a military in that sense. The very top rank is made of the seraphim, which is the very top. And each angel is its own species. And as an exorcist dealing with fallen angels, their personalities are so distinct, much more distinct than human personalities. And so you do get a sense of that they're each specifically different. Part of that has to do with that with human beings and also with other animals, a species is different because of the fact that there's something about them called the specific difference that makes this species different from another one. That's called the specific difference. With human beings, we don't have a difference. You and I don't. We're not specifically different. We're both, and in fact, in human beings, the specific difference is rationality. You and I are both rational, so we know we're of the same species. What makes us different is what we call accidental qualities. So the fact that you're, a bit taller than I am, a bit bigger build, etc. You have different facial structure, etc. Your race is a little bit different than mine, etc. So there's those different qualities make us different as human beings. Angels don't have that. They don't have, so it's matter, specifically bodies. It's the fact that I have this body and you have that body, which makes us different as human beings, even though by different in the sense of you're one human being and I'm one human being, but we're both of the same species, okay? Because angels don't have bodies, as a result of that, their specific difference is in their nature, which we can talk about that, because that itself is fascinating. In fact, we can get to that in relationship to their fall, because it plays a key role in their fall of some of them. But that basically means that every single angel is specifically different. They're as different as, say, a grasshopper is from a cow. That's how different they are. And their difference, so their each is different. So those differences are then grouped into 9 separate kind of categories, and that's the choir. And what makes one angel different from another is how intelligent they are. So the very top angel is far more intelligent, and so he can understand things much more universally, much more broadly, and also to much greater depth than the one that's all the way at the bottom. Even though the lowest angel is far more intelligent than us, nevertheless, there's this hierarchy, and it's based on intelligence. An important point of that also means that their will is proportionate to how intelligent they are. So they have a stronger will based upon how intelligent they are. This is why in hell there's still a hierarchy based upon how strong of a will that they actually have. So Satan has the strongest will because he was from the cherubim, which is the second. So the top rank is the seraphim. And St. Thomas Aquinas says that their primary function and role was to simply love God. Their whole reason for being was to love him.
What exactly what does that look like? What is that? If you were a seraphim, what is
it means?
What is your daily?
Yeah, so your holy, because he creates each angel with its own natural law, its own natural set of inclinations. So just as so for example, when a human being gets married, we have a natural inclination to marry. When they get married, there's a joy that they have in the marriage, right? From in being married, if it's a good marriage, of course. Or we have a natural inclination to eat. So when we eat, we feel satisfied, etc. So they get a fulfillment in just fulfilling the role or their task for which they were created, which is their nature. So for them, for the seraphim, it literally means just sitting around and contemplating God for all eternity, just contemplate and then loving him at the various facets of his goodness. Because God is infinite, and even the angelic and the angelic intellects are limited, it means that for all eternity they can be looking at a variety of different facets in God and deriving joy and love and loving God, seeing that goodness in him for all eternity, and it's never exhausted. And that's what it is for us when we get to heaven. Once we get to see God face to face, for all eternity we'll be learning something new about him, and the delight that we'll get out of that will bring. So for them, when they see those good things in God, they're naturally inclined to love him from that perspective.
Would a human being ever have interaction with a seraphim?
Yes, they can at times. Not necessarily in this life. St. Thomas says that their interaction with us is fairly limited and has to do with the scope. So the top rank deals with God. So the seraphim, their job is to love God. The cherubim, their perfections that God gave them was to know God, to know the various aspects of God. That's why if you look at the patterns of the psychology of Satan, formerly Lucifer, or Lucifer 2, which we can talk about, his psychological patterns are that of a cherubim, which is what St. Thomas talks about. And the reason being is because for him, everything that revolves around knowledge of beauty, ultimately, which is what he was created for. But then, and contemplating that beauty in God. And then the next one is the thrones. So the thrones, their job is to take that knowledge about God and what his will is, and then propagate that knowledge down through the middle rank. And so the middle rank is actually, their job is administrative. So as an exorcist, even when you get demons that have fallen there from that middle rank, you rarely see them, because their job, that middle rank is really about governance of those below them and making sure everything is done right. So it's basically middle management type of thing. And God created 3 different choirs for that. So you have the thrones, principalities, powers, and dominations, which are in the middle. And then below that then is the lowest choir of rank, and their jobs are the foot soldiers. So the middle rank, the top rank contemplates God. The thrones tell him this is what God's will is. That governance process, the commands and stuff are propagated down through the middle ranks, and then you have the lowest rank that actually executes them. And so that lower ranks, which also includes archangels and angels, that lower ranks, their job is to actually execute. So those angels are the ones that we will actually have interaction with more than likely.
Is that my AC breaking? An American Home Shield warranty can help protect major home systems and appliances.
God's special forces.
Yes, exactly.
Can angels advance in rank?
No, because what their rank in the hierarchy is fixed. Well, let me back up just a bit. How high you are in heaven in that hierarchy is directly proportionate to how holy you are. Human beings can actually take the place of fallen angels up through that rank by becoming holy, very holy, and then they can get a position that would be higher in the ranks in relationship to that. So, for example, it is the tradition of the Catholic Church to believe that Our Lady underneath Christ, the first one is Our Lady. Then underneath them are the apostles. And then also and St. Joseph, St. John the Baptist, there's kind of a debate of who's on the top of that. Then the apostles, and then the seraphim. So they're even above, the apostles are even above the seraphim.
Oh, wow.
And then other saints, because they become holy, take the place of different locations. I have a case I'm working on right now that part of the reason this woman's case is dragging out is because she has to reach a level of holiness, which she's getting there. She has to reach a level of holiness to take the place of one of the possessors that had fallen. So human beings can actually take that. Okay, so what does that mean? Human beings, because in this life we can perform actions that merit and therefore increase and raise our place in heaven, we can actually get a higher place in heaven than some of the angels. But the angels, their holiness is directly proportionate to their nature. It's fixed. They can't merit anything. And so that's why they have one choice, and then if they make that choice, their rank in heaven becomes fixed based upon that amount of holiness that they have.
So a human can become an angel, or they
don't become an angel
to the top.
Yeah, they don't become an angel. They get into the ranks. They go up through the ranks or through the choirs in the sense of they become holier than an angel, and therefore they get their amount of holiness that they have would exceed those angels that are below them, and so they're above them in the command structure in heaven, the authority structure in heaven.
I've heard, and I might have this wrong, will God pick 300 humans for the end times to do his battle against evil?
I've heard that theory, but I have not seen the evidence to back it up.
Okay.
So it could be, we'll find out. There are certain things we know about the end, like that Saint Elijah and Saint Enoch are going to return, that type of thing. So
let's talk about the fall.
Okay.
What happened?
So when the angels were created, so the whole hierarchy of angels is created at once. Now, the way angels know things is the exact opposite of the way we know things. The way we know something is we have to come in contact with the thing, we have to work with it a little while, then eventually we kind of gain a more abstract knowledge of it, and eventually we kind of have a universal knowledge of the thing. So it takes us a while to actually get to the point where we fully understand something. And we even see this even when we wake up. We wake up, it takes us a while to get fully functioning. And even when we're going to make a choice, a lot of times we have to go through a series of steps to kind of consider various things before we make the choice. Okay. That's because our knowledge comes through the senses. We have to be in contact with something, and then from that we can actually know something about it, and derive. And we can also infer knowledge based upon that about other things that we don't necessarily see, etc. Okay. With angels, their knowledge is infused. So by God, that's their mode of knowing. St. Thomas says. So at the first instance of their creation, God did two things. The first is he, in addition to creating them and creating them in this state of grace and state of perfection, he also infused in them the knowledge of all of the essences of created things. And basically what that means is they know exactly what a human being is. They know what dogs are, cats are. They know the natures of these things. Whereas human beings take a while to finally fully understand those things, they immediately exhaust everything there is to know about those just by thinking about them, to the degree of their intelligence.
An infinite knowledge.
It's not infinite because it's still limited because they're limited, but they instantaneously understand everything that could be known about that thing to the degree of their intelligence. Instantaneously. They don't have to think things through. Okay, so that's when it comes to the natures of things. But that's distinct. That kind of knowledge of things is distinct from knowing this thing is going to happen at this point in time. Those are called particulars. So the ones are kind of called universal knowledge of things. The particulars are infused in them as they actually occur by God. So, for example, the angels and the demons know what we are talking about as we talk about it because it's infused in their minds. So, for example, if they want to know what's going on in another room, they just have to think about that room, and then boom, they can see immediately what's actually there. Okay. When they were created into an act of knowing because they instantaneously exhaust what there is to know. And in that act of knowing, they learned a few things. One, who they are. They instantaneously saw their own nature and their specific difference. They actually understood by that fact that God had given them an assigned task. And that assigned task that he had given to them is who they are. It's their very nature of who they are. Then, which we'll talk about what that means in the fall. Plus, they were given knowledge of all the other angels, because it's all infused. They give the knowledge of all the other angels and their assigned tasks. They were also given knowledge that God was eventually going to become incarnate through Jesus Christ, and that there were going to be certain human beings. Those who were created guardian angels were given knowledge of the person that they were going to have to guard and to protect at certain aspects of that person's life, because they would actually be told, this is the person you're going to be protecting, and this is that this is God's will for him in certain respects. They didn't know all of it, they knew a lot of it. Okay. They understood who they are, who the other angels are, what their assigned task was, what their these other particular things, and then they also knew who God was. And they also, St. Thomas says, were infused with faith, hope, and charity. So they actually knew that that God, the second person of the Trinity, was going to become incarnate. And we actually know that from Scripture, that they were given that knowledge in the very beginning. Because when Christ first shows up on the scene, they're like, is this the guy? Is this the guy? Is this the guy? And then once they see he's doing miracles and he's doing all this other stuff and the nature of his teaching, they realize this is the guy. He's the only Christ could explain that who this guy, because we were told that he was going to become incarnate. Okay. So they knew that Christ was going to become incarnate. And then, and they also knew that God was going to create human beings, etc. So, but they also knew God. They had a perfect knowledge of God. They had knowledge that he was triune because of their faith, that God would showed them that he was triune, that there's God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, and God the Father, that he was triune. All of that they saw. In an instant. Wow. So they saw all of that. And the resulting factor of that they saw that intellectually. The natural response of the will, St. Thomas says, when they saw that was the light. The beauty of it, the magnificence, the grandeur of it was just so magnificent that they were taken by it in their first instance. And so their first experience in their will, it wasn't their first choice, because it was something which the will just naturally gravitated towards because it was so beautiful. That's in their first instance of their creation. Because remember, they're in the Avum, which has a sequence of events. So they have that's the first instance. Because they saw that, they also were in that same thing. They also saw, if they were faithful, they would get to see God face to face and be happy for all eternity. But if they rejected God, they would be damned in hell and miserable for all eternity. So they knew what the punishment was going to be like. Then they have absolute clarity about that. It's not like human beings where sometimes it's a little hazy for us. It was absolutely clear. The second instance is then, in the second instance, St. Thomas says, they looked at intellectually, they could see the temptations, what all the other angels were going through. Every single intelligent being, in order to be in the presence of God, has to go through a test. And the test that the angels had is they were created with a set of perfections, but they could see higher perfections above them. And they could see that having those perfections would be actually a really good thing, but in order to have that perfection, they would have to reject their assigned task, because it's not part of their nature, it's part of something else. And so when they saw that perfection, that's at that point that they had to perform an act of sacrifice. They either had to sacrifice the desire for that perfection that they saw that they would like to have in order to remain faithful to the task that God had told them that they had to do. And so, but if they were faithful to that task, what they would get is the beatific vision, which is above any perfection that they could possibly have. And so that was their actual test. So that
created jealousy.
In a sense, not in the sense that they didn't have those kinds of emotions that we have, but they saw that perfection and what it would be like to have it would be a wonderful thing. But they had to be willing to sacrifice that lesser created good to ultimately end up seeing God face to face, which is the greatest of the highest good, the greater good. And we can kind of return to it because that's the same problem we have with human beings, the same thing we live out every single day. But that we have to sacrifice every single day in order to achieve the greater good. But they saw that greater good, so that's what they saw intellectually. So they even saw Satan's temptation. And they knew, or Lucifer's temptation, and they knew that if they chose to reject their assigned task and have it and choose to just desire this thing, they were never going to get it, but just to desire it, then they knew they would be under Satan. So they saw that whole complexity, and then they made their choice. And so with them, they're very different from us than human beings are. The reason God has mercy on human beings is because we're stupid. No, it's true. We as human beings, we make decisions, and then, afterwards we're like, oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And that's why God has mercy on us. So if we're sorry for it, God will actually, have mercy for us. But with the angels, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know the full ramifications of it. So when they make their choice is all in, and the will becomes completely fixed on that choice, whether it's good or bad. And this is why even in session, demons will say, yeah, it was a bad choice, but I'd still do it again, because their wills become fixed in that. So they make their choice, and then the third instance, St. Thomas says, is because, unlike human beings, we can make stupid choices, but then we can kind of start getting our act together later. God gives us time to work through that process, and then at a certain point when we die, it becomes fixed, and then he either condemns us or he brings us into heaven. So for us, it takes us time to work out our salvation. As St. Paul says, fear and trembling work out your salvation. So it takes us time. Whereas the angels, it's a one-shot deal. And so once they make that choice, their will becomes completely fixed. And so St. Thomas says in the third instance, then God levies judgment. Just like all human beings have to go before Christ and he judges us, all of them were judged by the second person of the Trinity as to what their condemnation would actually be, or their reward in heaven. And so they're immediately damned, or they're immediately taken into heaven and see God immediately.
How do we know this? I mean, some of this is not in the Bible, correct?
Some of it, parts of it are not, but parts of it actually have to do with two forms of knowledge that the church has. The first is saints who have had mystical experiences, and also just the general working out theologically of how these things actually work. The second component has to do with the collective experience of exorcists for 2,000 years. Because my experience as an exorcist is not any different from the exorcists in the 1st century AD. And so how demons talk and what their psychology is and what they end up revealing is consistent throughout those 2,000 years. So it's all of that kind of taken together. So it's theological reasoning. So if you read St. Thomas, it's all based on theological reasoning, but it's also based on a lot of scripture, but then also the mystical experiences, but then also just the church's collective experience in actually dealing with them.
It's recorded information through time.
Exactly.
Let's go back into the fall.
Okay.
Did they all fall at one time?
Yeah, it's all done at the instant. They all fall in that second instance.
What did that look like? Do we know?
Well, scripture, the description in the book of Revelation is, I saw Satan fall like lightning. So it was just this boom, everything had shifted and changed instantaneously in the experiences and the lives of the angels. So either the angels that did the good, that chose to do their assigned task, their will became fixed in the good. And then, of course, they got to see God right away. But then the angels, they fell. And according to the fathers of the church, and it's actually true, by the way, in session, I've told demons, I command you to consider, to weaken them, I command you to consider your first instance of delight that you had. Because that, when they first, that joy and that delight that they had, crushes them now, because it's so painful for them to consider how joyful it was in that moment. So you actually see these things kind of playing out, but they also will, some of them will actually, under certain circumstances, God will compel them to reveal what their judgment that they underwent by God. And so you find out what those actual things actually are in relationship to it. So it's this massive shift, and like lightning falling.
Did angels from every rank structure fall?
We know from the lowest 8 ranks that there were ones that fell from those. There is some debate about whether one fell from the seraphim or not. Thomas Aquinas says they didn't. A majority of the theologians said that from that top rank they didn't fall. But it was just the ones from cherubim on down.
Because there was nothing to look up to other than God.
Earth's best new big kid snacks are baked with good stuff. So whatever their next adventure,
Basically. And for St. Thomas, it was that they saw God, and in their first inclination was to love him, that they couldn't, it was because of the strength of their charity or love for God that they just did what he asked.
Are there still angels falling today?
No, so that all the angels, since there's no more creation of any angels, and since they all went through the first three instances together, none of them are falling now. So they don't, it's not like you have an angel that ends up later falling.
Do we have numbers on each side?
According to the interpretation of the fathers, based upon what's in the book of Revelation, there's a reference where the dragon sweeps a third of the stars down by his tail. That has been interpreted universally by the patristics, that is the fathers of the church, and also theologians throughout time, as referring to a third of the angels fell.
Can angels redeem themselves?
No.
Demons, I mean.
Yeah.
Demons.
Once their will becomes fixed in evil, it's irreparable. It can never change.
Do you think they regret it?
You know, it reminds me of a politician, you'll remember who this is, when he said, "I did not have sex with that woman, so-and-so." He regretted getting caught. He didn't regret the action. And it's the same thing with them. They have remorse in the sense of it bothers them and they hate themselves for it, and they're sad about the fact that they committed the sin and that they you know, that they're going to be damned for all eternity and suffer for all eternity, but they would still do it again. In fact, I had a demon actually say that, so I said, commanded him, because I was trying to weaken this guy. I said, so let me get this straight. And by the way, when I put it colloquially, you know, in the interview, it's very structured. I'm saying, I command you to tell me X, Y, and Z. But I just said, so let me get this straight. You were created to have the beatific vision, yes. And you were created with this phenomenal perfections and the ability to see this, yes. And you saw that beauty in the first instance, yes. And you knew that if you were faithful, you would enjoy these things, yes. And you knew if you weren't faithful that you would suffer this and this, yeah. And you're suffering this now, yes. And you do it again, yes.
Most gear looks good until you actually start using it. Then you find out pretty quickly what holds up and what doesn't. That's why I keep coming back to Roka. These aren't just lifestyle sunglasses pretending to be performance gear. I've worn mine training, on the range, traveling, and outdoors for long days.
Because he's outside of time.
Why did he allow the fall? Is the fall ultimately the test of the human being? Allow the fall would... Did God know that was going to happen? Did God know the fall would happen?
Yes. Because he's outside of time.
Why did he allow the fall? Is the fall ultimately the test of the human being?
Well, we are all tested.
Because they're the ones that influence our mind, correct?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Would you want to be around someone who you forced to love you?
No.
No. You want someone who wants to love you and chooses it on their own. It's the same with God. God created us with free will, and in order to have that free will, he allows us, a certain percentage of people, to fall, both human beings and angels, to fall and reject with him for the greater good, which is those who are faithful, who voluntarily chose to love him.
How did they gain access to our mind?
Okay, so the basic way it works is their very nature is designed, their wills are structured in such a way that they can move matter by their nature. And so that means that they can move things within us because part of our brain, our intellect is material. Not all of it, but part of it is actually material. The brain, basically. And so they can actually act upon it.
Let's go back to human sacrifice a little bit. I mean, spent a couple days here. We talked about my past experiences. We've done some serious work here, and I've realized that the battle is in your mind for your soul.
That's right.
And, I mean, Christ himself was human sacrifice.
That's
correct?
right.
And so, if the battle is within your mind, and demons have access to your mind, and angels have access to your mind, and
Right.
suicide is a human sacrifice, abortion's a human sacrifice,
That's right,
going to war is human sacrifice. All these, I mean, everything seems to come down to human sacrifice.
That's right.
Why is the human sacrifice so important? What does it represent? Why is it happening?
Thomas Aquinas makes an observation which is right along what you were saying. He said, the ultimate thing that God wants from every intelligent creature, so this would include angels and men, he said the ultimate thing that he wants from every intelligent creature is the sacrifice of his will, that is ours, to his will, to God's will. And the reason being has to do with this. So I'll explain the theological structure of it, and then I'm going to talk about a case I had that all revolved specifically around sacrifice. So,
insurance companies protect their bottom line. We're more interested in protecting your rights.